listening to the Punisher Waterfowls, the Union 0430 podcast. Brought to you by Real Geese Decoys, the most technological advanced silhouette decoys on the market. And Vortex Canada, the force of optics.
Hey everybody, welcome back. This is the Union 0430, episode 91, and it's, again, it's a little, I guess, embarrassing because it's taken us this long to get our good friend Greg Taylor on the show, who we've been talking to for ages and has done a ton of stuff for us, so we finally got him on. It's Good Friday morning here. Greg's way over on the Pacific Coast, so time change and trying to make it work. So we've got him on, and it's going to be a great show. Philly is just outside of Oshawa, Ontario, up in Port Perry. Mark is just outside our nation's capital in Ashton, Ontario. Dave is being a taxi service today. He can't make it. His wife officially has COVID, so he won't be able to be on the show this morning. Ryan is still doing Ryan things, and someday we'll lasso him and manage to get him to sit down and have a chat with us. And I'm just outside Kingston, Ontario. Greg, coming to us all the way from a little town that I once lived in for about 6 months, Mission, British Columbia. Great to have you on, buddy.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. It's I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
So let's get right into it, because I'm what I wanted to talk. There's a bunch of things I wanted to talk about, but the first thing I wanted to get into, Greg, is you are a very, very active person on social media now, especially around the call collecting and duck and goose calls and all that. And you're real, like you've even been a judge on some of the call nuts things with Rusty Heron and stuff like this. So, I guess we'll back it up a little bit. And you've only been like 2.5 years as a waterfowler. You joined late into the obsession, and it's obviously taken hold of you. So explain to us, what got you into waterfowl hunting, and then we'll move into the call collecting and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't actually know what I would say got me into it. I think I grew up in northern BC, so okay. A little bit outside a place called Fort St. John.
Yeah.
So I grew up, and like no one up there does much for duck hunting. Like, I mean, when you can shoot moose and deer and everything else in your backyard, there's not a lot of reason to go by decoys. So growing up, never even a thing. I didn't even know anyone that duck hunted growing up. I mean, yeah, it wasn't even on my radar. So I moved down to the coast, and then I don't actually know the moment that I kind of thought like, man, that'd be fun to try. And then I kind of put it on the bucket list of like, yeah, you know what? Because I had no idea. I figured one day I'll go and pay for like a guided trip, or head out to Saskatchewan, because that seems where everyone goes when they want to shoot ducks. And then I ended up working with a fellow who's like, we were just chatting. I was like, oh, that'd be so cool one day to try that. He's like, why don't you come this weekend? I was like, but I don't have a good reason not to, so let's do it. So yeah, that was awesome. So we went out and hunted it was like a cut cornfield. They run a corn maze there in the fall, and then they mow it all down and let a few guys hunt it. So went out there, shot my first duck, and then that was it. It was like, waist deep after that. And then as far as calls and call collecting, I don't actually know how that really started. I think like I started listening to podcasts right away. Just got into podcasts. There was I started with the HP Waterfowl podcast. Listened to a few there. I tried another one, and then I was Googling Canadian call makers, because I was like, man, there's got to be guys that make calls in Canada. And that's when I came across your guys' like early, like one of those first episodes with Rusty popped up. Yeah. Like, and I was like, oh. So, and then from that moment on, I listened to your guys' podcast, and then just listening to some of the call makers through there got me pretty jazzed about calling, because I mean, again, I had no idea even where to start with waterfowl. So I picked up like an old Buck Gardner, like the classic double nat calls for $30.
Like everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Made a few quacks, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Thought I was getting good on it, and then started like through some of like the groups and stuff, seeing guys actually run a call, and I was like, oh, I'm not actually doing anything. So from there, I went and bought my first single read off Ducklander. And just said, like, you know what, I'm going to do this, learn it slow, and then I've just been building up from there. Yeah, and I love, man, like, there's nothing better than when you hit a cadence right and like a duck turns, or you see them like snap their head. That's the moment you're like, all right, like I love that. I could sit and call ducks spread all day long and not shoot a duck and be happy, just to know you flew, like, is the win, right?
Have you? I know I shouldn't ask have you, because I know you have. It's a silly question. But your relationship with Bobby Hayes from Ducklander, like, how much has Bobby helped you with regards to the call, learning how to call and all that stuff?
Oh, lots. Yeah. So, I mean, we messaged back and forth quite a bit when I first started out. I'd send him, you know, some just terrible sound files. I'm sure that he loved listening to those. And then, yeah, I mean, even when it came just picking a call, like I had no idea what I was looking for, right? So I just messaged and said, like, here's my level. I have no idea what I'm doing. Where should I start? And like, we had a conversation about, you know, where would be a good place to start, which call to go with. And he was pretty honest and open, like, whether it was his call or another call, he just kind of wanted to help. And then, yeah, from there, he helped got me down on the basics. And yeah, and every once in a while we still touch base and just chat. But yeah, he's a really good guy. And he actually does care about, like, just making people better callers. Like, sales are almost feel secondary when you're chatting with them, which is.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a common theme when anybody hears the name Bobby Hayes, and you know, he genuinely just wants to make a person a better duck caller, right? So I don't think you're far off the mark there when you're talking about Bobby. Philly, Mark, chime in whenever you guys want.
Just to get back to what Damien was asking you first, like how you got into duck hunting. Were you hunting inclined before you got into duck hunting? Had you done much hunting for anything else before that?
Oh yeah. Growing up, so like I said, growing up north, like we had a small farm compared to the neighbors, like we had 500 acres. So we raised beef, sheep, all that kind of stuff. But that was most of our meat food was all wild game. So deer, moose, whatever, bear. I mean, that's how we filled the freezer for the winter. So yeah, no stranger to hunting. Never any birds.
So when you went hunting ducks for the first time, like, and actually had, like, I guess on the first day you hunted ducks, you guys must have got a few. Yeah.
We had 5 guys. I think, like 4 ducks a piece between us.
Yeah. So it's not easy. It's not hard to get, once you experience duck hunting for the first time and you start, all of a sudden it's like, it's a very social event, right? When you're there, it's not like everyone's got to be quiet sitting in a stand and 400, 500 yards apart. You're all of a sudden you're there, you're chatting, you're laughing, you're cheering each other on, or you're bashing each other down. The social event of it all is it's quite a different experience, and it's easy to get addicted to, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. It is. Yeah, it is. I mean, well, yeah, like the guys, regardless of if the birds show up or not, the guys you hunt with make the day, you know? So like you can have a day where no birds show up, but you can be sharing the blind with 3 good guys, and it's still a win. So yeah, the community aspect's different, right? You're not sitting in a tree stand, you know, shushing each other every 5 minutes because you cracked a bag of chips or something. So it's just a whole nother ballgame. That was it. That first time I soaked that in, it was just awesome. I agree. That aspect of just like the camaraderie that you get out of waterfowl hunting is unlike any other hunt.
Now down where you are, like do you have much in the way of like competition for, like, you know, is it hard to get private property, or like, you know, do you have a lot of competition on public property that you hunt? And like, what's it like down there? Do you have to travel far to get to your spots?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mix. So there's 2 kind of big spots here in like the Lower Mainland. So there's the Pit Marsh, and that's a real popular spot. And like guys have blinds set up, and it's like, you know, kind of the race to get into spots. And then there's Boundary Bay, which is out kind of on a little bit on the ocean there, and it can be pretty packed unless you want to hike a long way. So I kind of avoid those. I'm out to have a relaxing day, not compete with crowds. So where I am, I'm a little bit more out in the valley. There's not as many guys. So there we have a large slough system that kind of works up in the back of our town, and it's all public land. So as long as you need access, like that's more, you're not asking farmers to hunt on their fields. You're just asking, hey, can I like park my truck at the edge of your field and walk through it, kind of thing, to get to the slough. So that's not too much competition. I've never had a problem there. But like fields and stuff are tough. Less so competition and more BC is just a little bit of a different animal when it comes to like conservation and animals and that kind of stuff. We're a lot more, you know, wearing your North Face jacket to go on a Sunday hike, not head out and see what you can harvest.
That was something I wanted to talk to you about because, you know, BC has that reputation. I shouldn't say reputation, not in a bad way, but it is a very liberal thinking province, right? So except for northern BC, where you grew up, where it's big game, and it's a way of life up there. When you get down into the lower mainland, I would think there's not a whole ton of hunters down there, mostly all fishermen. I would think, if I remember my time back when I lived in the Fraser Valley, it was, you know, fish and salmon was the big thing, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, there's definitely like a decent, there's definitely a decent population of hunters, and it's grown in the last 3 years, like exponentially. Like I think it has everywhere. All of a sudden, awesome. Like COVID and food prices and everything else, everyone kind of just started picking up new hobbies. So that's good. But yeah, no, definitely. Like it's almost the opposite of probably what you guys have there. Fellows will do like they're using duck hunt to fill up the off season before salmon run, right? Like that's kind of, it's almost the opposite. They're not using fishing off season. So yeah, fishing's usually the majority of stuff. And then the last couple of years, a lot of those fishermen have gotten hunting.
Okay. I just had another thing that I was going to ask you, and it just slipped my mind. I should write these things down. Oh, that's what it was. I remember as a kid like the amount of geese that were in BC. Like it was ridiculous the amount of Canadas that were in BC, but I can't remember many ducks. What's your population of ducks? Like I said, I know there's a ton of Canadas, but do you guys, because you guys got that Pacific flyway, right?
Yeah, I don't have a ton of, because I'm new, I don't have a ton of reference to like what would be a lot, but like I've never had problems finding them. So perfect. Yeah, we have quite a bit, and then like not a ton of species here inland. Like we've got mallards, widgeon, you know, like kind of the little puddle ducks and diver ducks in the slough, mergansers and buffleheads and everything.
That's the most important ones. That's
What about Harleys?
That was my next question, Phil.
I haven't been out on the ocean. I actually got an invite for this coming season with a fella from one of the conservation groups I help with. So he's a big brant hunter because we got a small brant season here. So he's going to take me out for a brant hunt. And then, you can get all sorts of like, harlequins and a few other ducks that they guess. I mean, they're not like plentiful, but you can run into them out there, I guess.
My in-laws live on the island, and like the bunch of times that we've been out there, every time like we're near water, I'm looking, I just want to see a Harley. We've come across the brant out there. Like we usually go out in like July, August, but like every time just looking for Harleys. My wife and I went to Tofino for a night. No Harleys.
Yeah, nothing, eh? Oh man, there's one duck here that everyone gets all like. I mean, most of the photographers get their loins of fire for. Is there's like we have one mandarin duck that comes back every year. So there's a park in Vancouver, the big city. Every year it migrates back. There's one of them comes here, spends about 3 weeks, and then disappears back to wherever it came from. But like photographers plan like trips around it. They all hang out at the park trying to find it. There's like whole groups that get like which pond it's in. But that mandarin duck, that one causes a lot of folks to go hunting for it. Yeah.
Hey, remember way back when we first started and we did that episode, Who Killed Daffy? Remember Ryan and Phil were in tears laughing. Could you imagine somebody shooting that mandarin duck and then getting it mounted and posting it on one of these Facebook groups out in BC? Can you imagine the amount of hatred towards that hunter that would be thrown? It would be insane, dude. It would be insane.
you get it just with normal ducks, like and some of the, like the marshes and stuff. That's the other reason I don't hunt them so much. They're good spots, but like you've got to hike kind of through a bunch of public access, just hiking trails, right? Yeah. So you walk through there, you shoot your ducks, and you got to hike out past kind of like more of the city. Let's
Right.
call them urban individuals, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, you'll get all sorts of comments. And that's just, it's just like, I mean, like I said, that's when it comes to hunting, my goal, I'm out there to relax and just enjoy what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
I don't need all the extra stuff. So
yeah, you're not out there looking to pick a fight, right?
No, exactly. Yeah. Right.
Have you had personal run-ins with anti-hunters very often?
Yeah, I've had a few. None of them like too crazy, like nothing. I mean, I had one guy, he owns a piece of property by the slough here, and he's just kind of, he's a little old, he's a little kooky, but he'll come out with a rangefinder, and he'll stand on the road and range you. He'll stand on his property and range you. He does like just to make sure, because you only have about maybe like a 50-yard by 20-yard stretch that's public that you can access there. But like if you're a hair off there, he comes running down the beach hollering at you. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean, stuff like that. Kind of like, yeah, there's a little bit more of an anti-hunter crowd. And it, but it is what it is. You make sure you've read your regs, you make sure you've looked at your maps, you make sure you're confident. And like I'll avoid, if there's a spot where I'm like, 80% sure I'm right, I'll probably just avoid it, because like it's just not worth the hassle. Like just shoot a couple ducks and get yourself in trouble, or like a fight or something. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's commonplace of any major built up area in the United States or Canada, right? Like regardless, that's not something that's special to BC, that if you're out walking back to your car and walking back on a nature trail where a bunch of non-hunters are, and you've got a strap full of ducks hanging off you. Regardless of where you are, whatever province or state, someone's going to say something, right? I think probably the only ones you'd get away with is the Northwest Territories or the Yukon or Nunavut, where someone wouldn't say anything to you. But the rest of the major cities in Canada and the States, I think someone would probably say something to you. So I don't think that's unique to BC whatsoever.
They breed stupid nationwide.
Yeah, big time.
We just sprinkle in a little dash of self-righteous, I think, when we're making the batter there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you guys, as far as Geese go, like your goose population, is it quite large there? Like compared to us, like that's what I mean, as far as reference goes, like.
Well, so here in Eastern Ontario, which is mostly farmland. We've got the St. Lawrence. So we've got a mix of two flyways here, right? Like we've got the Atlantic and the Mississippi flyway. I don't think we're actually in one perfect flyway. I think we're in the middle of two. So we get we've got I think a very healthy population of geese, just because of the farmland and our vicinity to the breeding grounds, which is the James Bay and stuff like that. So we get a great migration come through. Ducks on here, they're not great. You've got to work to find your ducks in this area. Beginning of the season, obviously there's a few birds around, but come November, late October into November, you're certainly putting the miles on to find ducks. Geese you can find. Geese are easy, but ducks is something else. I think that's a fair statement, Mark and Phil.
Yeah, it's relative to different parts of Ontario are different too, right? Like some areas will have better duck populations. Like down through this area, if you have a lot of water outfitters around that are putting continuous pressure on ducks, the duck hunting is not as good. Geese is a different story. There is a lot more geese here, a massive amount of geese compared to ducks. Nothing like out west. It's not Alberta, Saskatchewan, I'll tell you that. But there's a good population of geese here. Just lately, in the last 5 to 7 years, there's a lot more hunters here as well already. So it's a little more difficult now to get locked down fields and stuff. But like the duck population, it's relative to where you head out east, you'll get a better duck population than you will hear in this part of
Yeah.
Ontario we're in, for sure. Like just like New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, that boundary in between the two of those. There's some good duck population down that way compared to here.
We got a pretty solid population. I think we probably have less pressure, I bet you. Like just based on like as far as like waterfowl numbers, I would say we probably have less pressure on the ducks. So.
Oh yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, like you're primarily going to be like a big game. Well, I guess more so in the north, right? But like you're a big game province. Like that's what it's known for. That in fishing. So yeah, like your duck hunting pressure is going to be like substantially less. I guess your population is a lot less out there than it is for us, like in the Toronto area.
Yeah, well, Vancouver's pretty big too, right? Like I'm only like 45 minutes outside of Vancouver, so but like we, as far as geese go, like they're already starting to do that. Like this year, I think everyone's up in arms about it, but they're starting to do the egg addles, like they go and shake the eggs. They're doing that.
Yeah,
doing that because like we actually, I guess just 5 years ago, like don't quote me on any of this. This is all just talking to one of the guys I do a conservation group with. But so 5 years ago, they actually identified a new species of Canada goose that's just only here in the Fraser Valley, and they're like a resident goose.
Oh, they don't leave.
No, our climate's so perfect, right? So they kind of come here, and then they've bred actually across kind of between a cackler and a full Canada, and it's just they've kind of bred. They stay here, they live here year long, and like the amount of damage they cause to a field. They say like what is it? 18 geese in an hour will eat the same amount as a cow will, like off your field. So
really,
it's just like they just. Yeah, well, yeah, because you get them and you'll watch it. They'll land on one side of the field, like say on Monday, and by Wednesday, it's like it looks like just a wave goes across the field. It's just mud. They like, and it's not exactly the manure you want on your field, so it kills it. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
So egg addles, and then I mean, we never had geese here either. Like all of our geese we stole from you guys way back when. So like some of the old timers started waterfowling in the 70s. Like a Canada goose was a dream to see, let alone shoot. They didn't exist, and then you guys had a problem, I guess, over there. So they put them on big like military aircraft carriers, just loaded them up with geese. They flew them over on the West Coast and just dumped them off, figuring like they'd figure it out, and they did, and they're doing well. Yeah, so like it's actually not a native population apparently.
I didn't know that. That's wild.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Well, this part of Ontario, we're up our way in Ottawa Valley. There wasn't a lot of geese here 30 years ago.
No, there wasn't. I know.
There wasn't very many at all. Some were introduced, kind of like the turkeys, and they just blew up.
Flourish. Yeah. That's wild. That's a crazy stat. I've never heard that stat before. 18 geese.
Yeah.
That's a crazy.
For a cow in the same amount of time. Like if you go minute for minute, just how fast they'll multiply. Because you think like a cow just kind of leaves you. Like you ever watch geese eat? Like they pound that food back. Whereas a cow just wanders around and munches a bit. But it's crazy. So when you see like 200 geese lying on a guy's field, I mean that's only like 20 or 30 cows will eat the same amount. So it's a lot of food.
Yeah. Big time. Listen, you, like I said when we done the introduction, you've been when you came into the waterfowling world, you really jumped in head first when it comes to social media, and you're very active, and we can't thank you enough for all the stuff you do for us and sharing the episodes and stuff that we're doing with Punisher Waterfowl, and you share it over so many platforms, so many groups and stuff. So I can't thank you enough for all the work that you've done to help promote us. But and this is a little, it's a little feather that we put in our hat when it comes to, 2-3 months ago when I reached out to you and asked, hey, listen, can you do a couple drawings for us for a t-shirt? And this was the idea that I had, and you came out and you knocked it out of the park, and we we've sold shirts and stuff like that. So we've had a fair amount of success with it. And then it just seemed to every couple days you're making a new logo for somebody within the industry. You've done one for Merck, which was amazing. Like it's just so cool to see how everybody, not everybody, but a bunch of people have reached out to you and said, hey, listen, can you do something for us? Because it is such a different art form that you're doing as opposed to what a lot of people perceive a logo of what a logo should be, right? And you're not a graphic designer, you're an artist, which is two totally different things, right? So it's amazing. And I just like the conversations and the people that reach out to you now, like it's got to be pretty overwhelming, I would think.
Yeah. Oh, it's overwhelming. That's a good word. So like, I mean, yeah, like you said, I've only been doing this very, very short amount of time. So as far as the waterfowl community goes, I'm kind of like, I'm a nobody. I'm just a fellow who, what just happened?
Oh, you're still there. Keep talking.
Yeah. That's Mark sharing the screen.
There we go. So for a guy that does, digital doodles, I know absolutely nothing about computers. So anyways, I'm kind of a nobody in the community. So for folks, I mean, I don't want to, let me sit here and name names, but like there's guys who've reached out where I'm like, how is this person messaging me? You know what I mean?
Name names, buddy, if you want, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them, like there's guys like Jeff Coates. He just asked for some help. I helped him out. I mean,
That's wicked.
Yeah, and he texted me the other day because I did another podcast with another fellow over the one who's putting on that Call Makers Build Off thing that I'm judging.
Yeah.
So that's still on. Actually, and you guys should check that out if you haven't. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So I did a podcast with him just kind of about that and a few things, and then Jeff Coates texted me. I was like, I woke up in the morning. He's ahead of me because he's on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Like to a text from Jeff Coates, I gotta tell you, that's a day where like I don't know how you have a bad day after that. That's pretty cool. So yeah. And it's just like even you guys reaching out. I mean, just to like touch base, see how things are going. Like it's been really. I mean, the drawings aside and the other stuff, what's been cool is just the connections. I think like you guys have talked about networking or whatever you want to call it, but like I'm chatting to guys in Louisiana, I'm chatting to guys in like Kentucky, I'm chatting to guys in Maryland, like. All of a sudden, I mean, I used to do doodles like this just for folks I knew. And then, I mean, it's when it's on paper, you can only go so far. Now that I've figured out how to make it digital, it can go anywhere, right? So that's the fun stuff, connecting with folks that I would have had zero other reason to connect with. So that actually, to me, is like the biggest benefit of the whole thing.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Mark is, I don't know if you can see it, but Mark is sharing the screen of a bunch of work. And that river rat, decoy rig one you done, I absolutely love it. And this hat, I got to go off script here and throw a shout out to Rocky because I honestly think this is the nicest hat I've ever seen, like hands down. Mark came by the house yesterday and I'm like, check out this hat. Like it is the nicest hat I've ever seen. And before I hit record here, I was texting Rocky. I was like, dude, who's doing your logo patch? Like I gotta find out who it is because it's amazing. So anyways, I digress. I went off script here.
They have so much more, like it seems like so much more apparel opportunities down there, right? Like they've got, a few of the guys that make stuff with shirts. It's just the options they have here in Canada. It always feels like we just like way harder supply. I don't know. We just kind of get the bum into this one.
Yep. Yeah. So sorry, we went off track there a little bit, but like you've done, like this isn't, you say Jeff Coates up and texts you, like now I know what you're saying, like it's a big deal to get a text from Jeff, and it is. I'm not trying to downplay that whatsoever, but I'm guessing after you talk to Jeff, you realize just how humble a man he is. Like, does not think he's anything special or any just salt of the earth type of person who really wants to help a lot of people out, right? And I think that's one of the best things I could say to describe Jeff is that he genuinely cares about the people that he reach out to, right? So I'm proud of you, buddy. I love it. We're big fans, and we watch, and even like we've got our own little chat group on the go. And when you come out with when you do a new piece of art, like it shows up in our chat group, and we're like, Greg's got another one. He's done another one, and we talk about it, dude. So,
did you guys see the one that dropped this morning?
No.
This morning?
Whoa. Hey, so this is cool. No, I seen the one you done for the last one I seen was the dog kennel one.
Yeah. This one I did about probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, but the fellow wanted to nail down his apparel before he launched the logo. So I know,
okay,
you know, Mark got himself in a twist about me putting stuff up early. So I learned my lesson there.
Is that the Snow Creek one?
Yeah. No, not Snow Creek. It's
Mark, can you find it? Can you find it, Mark, and put it up as a share screen, please? Because I haven't seen it.
You guys keep talking.
Yeah.
If you're on call,
that's awesome though, buddy. And I would love, and I know you have some plans and you have some aspirations that are down the road, and we don't need to get into those because it's going to be fucking awesome when you do them and you get what you want to do when you put it out there. But I cannot wait, because I do believe that you will get to do all the things that you want to do. And you're being very smart about it. You're not trying to go overboard and stuff like that. So I can't wait to see what you do and talk about it, because I have all kinds of faith in you, buddy, because I honestly do think that you are having a mark within the waterfowling world right now. And I think that's only going to continue and keep getting bigger. I honestly do.
I appreciate it. I mean, my whole goal, like I said, like, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I call them doodles, right? Like that's all it is to me. But to me, it's pretty big that folks like, I mean, yeah, you guys want to sell some shirts, right? Like that's I mean, it's not putting food on the table, but I mean, that's an income to you, right? Like some of these guys with their call company. I mean, whether they're full-time call makers or part-time call makers, that's like their company is their baby. That's their bread and butter. Yeah. And so those folks reach out to me and say like, hey, I want you to create me something. It's not a small, it's not lost on what that ask is, right? It's like, I mean, yeah, I can make a cool drawing, and to me, it's fun to make a cool drawing, but to these people, it's very important. So I try to approach everyone with that in mind, as opposed to just like, here's something fun I drew. I mean, with the questions I ask them, and try to put that extra time in, because if this is something they're going to slap on the face of their company, then it's got to be something they're excited to do that over. So, I mean, that's more for anything, is just making sure I'm aware of that and keep that in my mind at all times, because that's always my number one goal. I like just making folks happy and getting them. I like getting other people successful. Like when it comes to sharing on social media and stuff like that, man, that's honestly, I think, I don't know, I'm maybe I'm a little bit older school mentality myself, but yeah, I think if you have a company, like if you have a company you want to support, if you have, I mean, you respect what they're doing, then you're just kind of loud about it, right? Like with your guys' podcast, I share that because I think, like, I mean, and anyone who goes like, finally I've seen enough of these, like that's what happened to Rocky. He's like, man, I've been watching you share this for like 2 months. I finally listened to an episode. It's awesome. I was like, why did it take 2 months? Right? Like and I think every person that finds it, that person, not only are you guys better off because you have more viewers. I mean, to add to the millions. But
that's right, buddy. That's right.
Yeah, they're better off because now they've got something, because it's the way you guys approach the community, and that's, I mean, to bring it all back to the calls and the call collecting and stuff. Like those are like so as far as duck calls go, until recently, I've only ever bought duckland or duck calls. Never bought another duck call. And then recently, through some of these times, I've done trades with some of the small shop guys for more art pieces than like anything I put on a lanyard. And then as far as goose calls go, I've never bought another goose call other than a heron goose call. And that's because both of those guys, the way they, I mean, business is one thing, but the way they approach the community, once you've earned my respect and like that, that's gold to me. So that's and guys like Jeff Coates, any of those big names, I think because there's a weird image in the waterfowl community that these guys are, not those guys in particular, but you get to a certain level and you kind of become like this untouchable elite of slaying ducks. Yeah. But most of those guys up there are actually probably more humble than the guys who are going out and shooting 5 ducks a year, which is crazy.
100. And that's one of the biggest things we've learned, even from the guests we've had on the show. We've talked about some of the people, and we're like, he's a good dude. You know what I mean? And not that it's surprising, but it is kind of surprising because we don't put a lot of stock in ourselves. So we think that it's a big deal to have those guys to come hang out with us. Mark, I know you're trying to say something there, buddy. So
No, I just can't find anything from this
Oh.
morning on your stuff. Greg.
is it on your Facebook page, Greg?
I haven't.
Look at
I haven't.
both.
I was running around. Give me one
It's on
sec.
Call Nuts.
Oh, you
Oh,
found
so-
it?
It's on Colnut?
Yeah.
I
it's
can
on Call
find
Nuts.
that. Hold on. Give me a sec.
We needed to have the lead investigator on it.
Yeah. I have to say too, while Mark is doing this, Philly, your voice sounds angelic this morning. And I
Angelic.
just angelic. I'm telling you, buds, it sounds just like
Sober.
it is.
Sober Phil.
It's because it's
What?
early.
Yeah,
I don't know about you guys.
it's sober, Phil. That's exactly what it is.
It's not too often we do a
He hasn't
show in
got
the
a fit.
daylight.
Yeah, he hasn't got a fifth of whiskey into him already.
Yeah.
I got
Uh,
a voice.
I contemplated pouring a drink this morning. I thought, well, for me, it's 7:30 in the morning, so I got a healthy dose of Bailey's in my coffee though. So we're still
boy, that is, I dig it.
That is a cool logo.
That is a cool logo, dude.
The silhouettes of ducks.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
So
that
the fella,
is. Yeah, go for it, bud.
fella that owns that, Jesse, man, I'm gonna probably butcher his last name. I think it's Jesse Adid. That's where he hunts the Skull Creek. That's actually the name of it. So I guess when the
Yeah.
settlers in there way back whenever they moved in, they settled, they thought it was beautiful, and then they kept finding skulls in the creek from whoever was there before. So they named it Skull Creek. So that's kind of what we tried to show in that image.
Yeah.
Like that's why we got the old wagon wheel and
I just noticed the wagon wheel.
So that was just a fun piece again because it represents him. Like he already had kind of a skull logo that he was working with, and then
Yeah.
it also just kind of story of his area. Like and down there, a
Yeah.
lot of these makers, like history is big to them, right? So if you can pop those little
100%.
details, that's what makes it a little bit extra. Right?
The jawbone there, I like it. Man, that's cool. I really dig it. And I'm on a big Paramount's 1883 kick right now. So the wagon wheels and stuff. I may have got a little bit inebriated last night watching it, and I busted into my bedroom. My wife was on a party call with a bunch of her girlfriends, and I might have busted in there and demanded that I get a fucking horse soon. So I was like, I need a goddamn horse. And I need I need a 6-shooter. I'm gonna
That
be a
wasn't where I thought
cowboy.
your story was going to go, but carry on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
sorry.
kind of like waiting to see what the next word was in that sentence.
This is a PG rated
No, it's
show.
not.
Yeah, it most certainly is.
No, it's
All
not.
right. No, it's not.
Yeah, have you guys
Yeah, go
tuned into
for
that call that build off competition? Have you guys
I've
checked it out?
followed it on social media. I haven't like watched anything, but I've been following, like reading the posts and stuff like that. But I haven't. That's not. It, I don't want to downplay it or anything like that. But the whole call side of things, I enjoy calling ducks when I'm out.
Yeah.
But that's to the extent of my fascination with calls. I'm not a big call guy. I don't collect calls. I don't get, I see them and I'm like, that's a sharp looking call. It looks good, sounds good. And I'm not a great caller.
Neither am I.
But yeah, I follow it along because, and I follow it. A lot of the reasons why I follow it is because Rusty is such a big part of it. And Rusty is such a good friend and shit. It was only the other day. And Rusty, if you hear this, I hope you get that stuff squared away. He's got some red marks underneath his neck and stuff like that he's
We
been
talked about
battling. Yeah. So actually, I was talking to Rusty 2 or 3 days ago. We were on the phone on a chat for about an hour. So I follow Call Nuts mostly because of Rusty. And I just want to keep up because there's usually some good material for me to talk about on this show that comes off the Call Nuts page. So
that was my next segue into that is like Rusty. That's like, I mean, fall is fun and I'm judging for it or whatever, but Rusty, like no one talks trash like Rusty. Like that guy is, oh man, he is. But it's funny because he has this persona where everyone kind of thinks he's an asshole because he's so good at it. But he's actually the kind of humble dude, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to competition, oh man, can that guy talk trash? I love it. Yeah.
So I like the pictures. Like I really like the pictures of the call off guys and that kind of stuff. Like I really enjoy that. I get a good chuckle. Out of how the gamesmanship is between the comment. Like they talk a lot of trash, but they've got nothing but the utmost respect for each other. So it's pretty funny to read what they say to one another and the pictures of the competitions and stuff like that. So I enjoy it.
We've got a competition chat going where it's just all the makers that are still in it and the guy running it and stuff. And like, yeah, the stuff that goes on call nuts is hilarious. The stuff that happens in that chat. That's where the awesome.
Yeah, that's where the good stuff happens. Yeah, absolutely.
A good community thing. And then on call nuts, we're doing a coloring competition this year. If I can plug that, would be good.
Yeah.
I'm putting that on.
So say it again. You're putting it because you broke up there. What is it?
We're putting on a coloring competition for kids.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. It just struck me the other day. I've been doodling and I'm coloring all the time. I thought, man, there's a few things we're talking about with another maker about how guys are giving away calls and stuff. But it's that next generation of young folks that are going to move into like either collecting, calling, hunting. Like, so I thought, well, why don't we just do a coloring contest? Something like some way throwbacks. So every month now from May, June, July, and August, the next 4 months, I'm going to make a custom coloring sheet every month, put it up on Call Nuts, and then anyone in the Call Nuts community, if you have grandkids, kids, nephews, nieces, print it up, color it, submit a picture with them holding the picture they colored, and then they go into like a waffle, like a call waffle draw, and we're doing 3 calls a month. So a kid 10 and under gets a call, a kid 11 to 16 gets a call, and then a wild card out of the whole group gets a call every month. So it was, I kind of put it up thinking I might get one maker, that was the cool thing about the community. I was like, hey, anyone want to pair up with me on this? Let's do a thing. And then I had like 14 guys, like within 20 minutes. I was like, oh, I guess we're doing something big here.
That's Dave's wicked. I love it. Dave's doing it too.
Gonna make a turkey.
I can't keep track of the shit that Dave is into. Dave's into so much, man.
Yeah.
I can't keep track of him.
Dave makes a beautiful turkey call too.
He makes it, man. I tell you what, no matter what Dave goes at, he does a good job at it. Yeah.
Yep.
Like I got the two pots here that Dave did one.
Oh Jesus! There goes his headphone.
Blew a headphone. My ears don't hold these in well. So Dave did this one for me. It's like just kind of like what Mark's got there. Like it's like a half wood, half poured acrylic.
Yeah.
Like, it's all bird's eye. Like it's just stunning. The red slate.
Yeah.
And then for those who know, they know.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And
so that's pretty cool though, Greg, that just a simple idea and you put it out within the community and you had 14 call makers jump on board within 20 minutes wanting to support it. That's one of the things that I personally don't think enough of these guys, like the call makers, the fellas that are even part of the big companies, and right down to who they themselves call themselves the little guy. I don't think all these people get enough credit for how much they contribute back to the community. I think all you ever see, and I've heard Mark make this comment so many times, someone that wants to leave a bad review is the first person to jump on and type up a bad review or a bad experience. But you hardly ever hear about anybody typing out a good experience with people, right? And I don't think a lot of these people get the credit that they deserve for what they give back to the waterfowling community.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And that's why, like, I think, and that's again why I'm loud about my good experiences. And I think like bad experiences, I think, and we're in a weird age where, I don't know if it's the internet or what it is, but like you have a bad experience and it's like you can instantly just like broadcast that across the world. And a lot of folks, I think, do that before they actually just, use their brain a little bit and think about it. Because sometimes, I mean, like, you have a bad experience, reach out to the person, and 90% of the time they'll make it right. I mean, it was like maybe a small mistake, but why it has to go that way, I don't know. But yeah, that's definitely the way it is. And
It's
these guys,
keyboard warriors.
oh yeah, yep, yeah, very much
time.
so.
Big time.
And you guys say with the bagged milk, I got to talk bagged milk with you. Because
bags of milks. Yeah. Let's do it.
Like, I feel like you guys have not misrepresented Canada, but I can tell you, on the West Coast, I have not seen a bag of milk.
No, it's an Ontario, Quebec thing. That's it.
And I personally never buy them. Actually, I never ever see them, but I'm sure they're around. But I never buy them.
You guys still have carton milk, right? Like, not all bags.
Yeah. Carton milk is we buy bags of milks just because we go through so many milks. So and it stores easier in the fridge. It doesn't take up as much room. Like for me to go, anybody that's watching this, if you're wondering what the fuck we're going on about, you need to go back and listen to the episode where we had Logan Williamson on from First Light, because there's a whole story there. But like if I had to buy in cartons of milk, the amount of milk that we go through in a week or two, it would take up half of our fridge.
Well, how big is the bag?
A liter.
Like a liter or something.
Yeah, it's a liter.
Oh, so you get like big jugs. Like ours are what are
the big jugs are 4 liters.
Yeah.
Do Phil have a bag of milk?
Do you have a bag of milk? Phil got a bag of milk.
There's a bag of milk, everybody. So if you are listening to the podcast and not watching on YouTube, especially to our friends outside of Ontario and Quebec, and you have no friggin' clue what we're talking about, Phil, hold up that beautiful, beautiful bag of milk right now.
They come in 3 packs.
Yeah, they come in 3 packs. It comes in a big bag, but there's
with
3 individual.
3 little bags.
Yeah, with 3. That's why we call it bags of milks.
And they come side by each.
Yeah.
But you gotta have one of those plastic jugs.
Yeah. So that's what totally threw Logan and Kevin for a loop. Was they were like, okay, so you had this bag of milk. How do you how do you dump the milk out of the bag without, and then I'm like, well, you get a little jug to put the plastic bag into. And they were like, but why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just buy a jug of milk and then you don't, you know what I mean? So the reasoning and the questioning is all valid.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's something that I'm just used to. So therefore I do it, but I could see the holes in our theory.
And they come in strawberry and chocolate.
Oh, beautiful.
Right. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's just funny, right? I was like, eggs and milk, and then it's like, oh yeah, like these guys are acting like there's just bags of milk like strewn across Canada. I was like, no, hold on, let's dial that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I to all the residents of Canada, if we misrepresented you in making it sound like there's bags of milks all over Canada, that it's not. It's Ontario. It's an Ontario and Quebec thing, not anywhere else, to the best of my knowledge. So, but just like most Canadians, the people in Ontario think Canada revolves around them. So,
and you can freeze them too.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's one of the reasons. Yeah, so you could just well, in case you buy it in bulk. This is going down a fucking rabbit hole, and I'm going to look like an idiot. I'm going to look like an idiot trying to stand up and be an advocate for bag of milks. So we're going to end it right now because this is just going down.
You guys went from Bird Dog Whiskey being the unofficial sponsor to Bag Milk being the official sponsor now of Punisher Waterfowl.
There you go.
Hey, does a body good.
It does a
That's
body good.
That's a throwback. I haven't heard that one.
Yeah.
That's awesome, guys. talking about being humble too, I just want to throw that on your guys' way. Like, I mean, as much as like I get messages from random guys I thought would never message me, like you guys have to experience that to the tenfold with. I mean, First Light approach you guys and saying like, you know, with these releases and stuff, that is, and to watch you guys do that is awesome. And I know you guys play it up too. Like, I mean, I think we're very similar mindsets, and yeah, I'm kind of a nobody in what I do. I think is just kind of a fun thing, and it's not that big a deal. But I think you guys approach what you do in the same way with that humble head. And I think yeah, you guys are doing such things that are like just awesome and huge to see, versus like how you sell yourself. You know what I mean? Which is good, and I appreciate that.
I just think between all of us, we sort of kind of keep everybody in check, right? Because there are times that you could get a little bit of a bloated head. You know what I mean? And so if that happens, well, the beauty about you know, surrounding yourself with good people all the time is that these same people try to keep you in check, right? So even if you do get a little bit of a bloated head, the boys are there, especially if it's in my case. The boys will very quickly reel me back in and bring you back to what the idea of the show was and everything, right? So it's pretty amazing. Like Mark have said it a few times, that when I reached out to Mark and Phil and Ryan about doing this show way back in 2020, I guess. Yeah, 2020, when we done the first episode. You know, Mark have even said himself, like, he had no idea what this was going to be, and neither did I. It was an idea and thought that we would throw it out there and see if it gained any traction, right?
Like, what made you do it originally? What, you just woke up one morning and said, like, I'm going to do a podcast?
Well,
like,
Dave and I, so the history of Punisher, the brand, I don't know how many people know it, but anyways, the brand has shifted over the years from when I first started it way back in 2014. So when Dave came on board as a partner back in 2019, we were really back at the drawing board, and we were trying to figure out, listen, like, what are we going to do with the brand? How can we continue to grow the brand and stuff like that? And Dave and I were spitballing ideas. And one morning or one afternoon, I was chatting with him, and I said, we should do a podcast. And he was like, yeah, 100% do a podcast. That's a great idea. I wasn't, now the only difference was I wasn't interested in doing just a podcast. I wanted the YouTube channel as well, right? And Dave really wanted to get into the video content side of things. So it's sort of kind of married together. And then, you know, we were chatting about it, and he was like, well, you know, it'd be nice if we had some other fellas on. And I said, yeah. I said, so what do you think? We can ask Ryan, Mark, Phil, who I've hunted with and are great friends, right? So I reached out to them. They all jumped on, and I guess the rest is history. But, you know, to go back to, like, some of the people that have been on this show, again, like, why you never in a million years would I have thought I would have had a conversation with them, let alone now have a friendship with them where they send me a text out of the blue to just chat, for no other reason than to just chat and see how things are going. It's amazing. And the friendships that we've made since we've done this, it restores a little bit more faith in humanity, to know that there are still good people out there, and there are people that aren't driven solely on making a dollar. And that's some of the most amazing things that I found out in almost 2 years that we've been doing this show now. That's crazy. Almost 2 years, boys.
Yeah, with that, the nice thing too, like those connections you make, like, I mean, however many they are, like, I think you guys are chasing it right, because a lot of folks are just chasing that like, you know what I mean? Someone to click that like button, some faceless person that you'll never connect with. Well, those connections that those are the valuable things you collect along the way.
Well,
yeah, go for it, Philly.
the biggest thing I find, like with the show, like we started this 2 years. Well, you guys started this 2 years ago, and that was like right at the start of COVID, where everything was shut down.
Mhm.
So like being able to go for beer and wings with your buddies, that ain't happening. So like this was like legit that
was an
next
outlet,
best
eh?
thing that filled that void, where like an hour and a half ish, once a week, sit down and like I have developed greatly from sitting on the sofa chair in the living room with a piss poor background to something a little more aesthetically pleasing. But like being able to sit down and like, we're not, with each other at a table, but I can still sit here and have a beer. And we can converse, it's
see one another's face and stuff, right? Like the show, and especially with what Phil said about it, the height of COVID was on the go, and here in Ontario, and I know it was different in every geographical location, but she was locked down pretty good here in Ontario. Just having the outlet to be able to see friends and be able to chat instead of over text, it did a great deal for my mental health, and it gave me something to look forward to. There was a time I think we went a couple weeks, fellas, where we didn't do a show, or I wasn't on, and
I remember that.
Yeah, and I remember my wife saying to me, she said, "You haven't done a show in a couple weeks." I said, "No," I said, "I just not feeling it, or whatever," right? And she was like, "You need to get back into it, because it does make a big difference in my attitude and the way I go about things." And I genuinely enjoy chatting with the people, right? So it done a great deal of good for my soul. So it's a good thing for me to be doing it too.
I was gonna say, I don't know if it's on your guys' radar, but you guys should seriously consider doing like a couple episodes where each one of you is the guest. If that makes sense? Because like I think it's huge. Like even just this pieces of your story, right? Like if you've been listening, I mean, since like the beginning, you kind of piece it all together, go along. But I mean, each one of you guys it'd be a cool connection piece just to learn more about this stuff and you guys and how Phil got to be so handsome. Like, it would just be nice to know that stuff,
That's just genetics with Philly. That's just the hand of God. That's all that is.
It's all the beard. It's all the beard.
Yeah, actually that is true, because have you seen him without his beard? It's not good. Like, not good at all.
My wife brought up, you should because like if you shave it off, it'll come back thicker. I'm like, no. Okay. This is I am more than content with how this looks.
Yeah.
I don't want to see what's underneath.
You almost forget though, Like I don't have a super thick beard and I rarely shave it, but when you do, you're like, yeah, that's what my face looks like. Ugh. Like, just like you forget the shape, it's just very it's crazy what a beard will do. That's for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And it's more economical to shave.
But at my work, things are changing in the future. So there's going to be some new regulations. So you're going to see some experimentation.
Oh,
if I see you with fucking purple hair, if I see you with purple hair, I'm driving into Halifax and slapping you.
I just want to see a big dirty handlebar.
Oh yeah,
so I'm gonna do my best to try. And do you guys know Cal from Meat Eater?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try my best to pull off a Cal mustache.
Yeah.
Big old duster.
Big old duster.
The Tom Selleck.
Oh no, but his is like, it's not a true handlebar mustache. It's just fucking big and long, and I'm just like, yeah.
I don't think it actually grows on the sides. It's just so long that it hangs.
Yeah,
it just covers it. Optical illusion. Because
one of my biggest reasons for existence on this earth is to get a rise out of my wife. So the day that I shave, because I'm going to let this all grow back, and then when I'm comfortable that the mustache is good, then I'm going to shave everything off and leave the mustache, and yeah, it's going to be good.
My wife, of earshot here, but so like every once in a while, you mess up shape and you shape it wrong. You're like, well, I guess I got to get rid of it. I'll always just go down to the mustache, having nothing. Yeah. And every time she hates it. So I'll come out of the last time I messed up here and shaved it. So I just had a little mustache. I come out of it was a little bit longer. Then I come out of the bathroom. At first she goes, we're not talking for 5 days, right?
Well, at least she's brutally honest. I like it.
Oh, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Fellas, we're at the 60-minute mark, and we're gonna call her here. But hey, buddy, just like I told you when we were chatting the other day, you said you were a little bit nervous. I said, you just watch 60 minutes will blow by pretty fast, and there'll be nothing to it. So
we'll have talked about everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We have certainly talked about everything. And you know what, Greg, just like we say to everybody, you are more than welcome to come back on the show anytime. And don't wait for an invite. If you have something that you want to talk about, fire us a message, and we'll, contrary to many beliefs, there isn't a lineup of people beating down the door to come on the show, right? I know there is that perception out there, but but honestly, in all seriousness, you have a spot here anytime you need to come on. If you need to do anything, if it's anything that you're plugging for your own side of things, do it. If it's something that you're doing to give back to the community, anything, just reach out to us, buddy, and we'll get you on. Mark.
Well, likewise, you ever need that last minute guest, you just fill a seat, let me know. I can come up for Randy to run them off the boat.
And that was what I was going to say. I said, there's times there's only two or three of us on, and it used to be always 5, right? So it never ever hurts just to have another body thrown in there, even when we have a guest.
Absolutely, to get and to have that different experience and everything is always good to have, right? And as much as I said Phil's voice is angelic, sometimes people just don't want to hear my voice either, and they'd like to hear somebody else's voice. So it's all good. We'll do a quick around the table, and we'll give the last words to you, Greg. Philly, to you, buddy.
Greg, great to have you on. Great to finally see you in person, talk to you in person, so to speak. But I'm going to say you take the cake over Maddie Wilson and the big luscious locks.
That's a big compliment right there.
Sorry, Maddie.
It won't be here much longer, actually. So this is COVID hair. So I had my last haircut February before COVID started.
You're fired.
Yeah.
Everything shut down, so I didn't have a haircut. And then actually I found out the BC Children's Hospital does it's a program called Wigs for Kids.
Yeah.
So you donate your hair, they make it for like kids who have terminal illness and can't grow hair.
Amazing.
So 12 weeks long. So mine just passed that. And then at this point I'm like, well, I guess let's see how long I can go before it gets annoying. I think summer it's gonna go because it is not. Anyways, that's where it came from. Yeah. So he'll have his type back soon enough. Yeah.
That's awesome. Mark.
It's good to meet you finally face to face, Greg. I mean, I know we've dealt over chat and you helped me out with that logo and everything, and all that was greatly appreciated. Like you wouldn't believe, man. At the same time, you're in meeting you in person, you're exactly who I thought you were. You're a genuine good guy. So it's great to have you on here, and hopefully we get you back again.
Appreciate that.
Greg, buddy, to you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, now great. No, guys, nothing but respect for everything you guys do. And I guess a new waterfowler, in my area where there's not a ton of guys waterfowling, like I do most of it solo. That's how I've kind of been learning at it. So, I mean, podcasts like this, as weird it is, like there's a lot of hunts I go on where I don't get that, just shooting the BS after and talking stories and having the fun. So like this weekly podcast kind of fills that void for me a bit. So I love what you guys do. Appreciate what you guys do. And I'll listen every week and share it as much as I can, because if people are missing it, then they're missing out. But I really appreciate this opportunity, guys, and to chat with you in person has been huge. I feel like it's like weird because I've listened to you for so long, you haven't listened to me, so it's almost like I know you guys, but this has been nice to actually do it firsthand. Yeah. So thank you for the opportunity, and that's kind of all I got to say.
No, thanks. Thank you, buddy, for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the Union 0430. We are as advertised. We do not pretend to be experts. We don't pretend to be anybody any more special than anybody else. We're just a group of friends that honestly enjoy sitting down and chatting with one another. If you need artwork done, please hit up Greg. Tell him that you've seen him on the show and you really want to talk to him. And because I guarantee you will not be disappointed. He'll work with you and he'll get it. Ladies and gentlemen, this was episode 91. Thank you so much for joining us, listening to us banter, and we'll see you next week. Big love. Surround yourself with good people.